Okay, so here we got Grimlock in his alt mode, which is that of a robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's get started here first by taking a look at some of the detail on this guy. So I'm going to just kind of zoom in here a bit and get a little close-up of him. Start out here with his head. I think they did a pretty good job here with his head. I like the sculpt of it, and I like the fact that they added this like riveting in here. You can kind of see this will run throughout the figure here. They got it kind of scattered in little bits and pieces here and there. I think that adds a nice little touch, makes them look more robotic, more mechanical. I also like in here they got the clear plastic with all the little mechanical parts and robotic parts in there. You know, that's matching his original G1 version, so he has that same characteristic there. Let's pan on down here. You can see some more of that riveting there around his collar or neck. And let's look here at his little robotic arms, or dinosaur arms. These are articulated, they do move. They're in a little ball joint in here, so you can kind of just pivot them around like so. And they'll bend in here at the elbow like that, just up and down. There is no rotation there. Actually, you know what? No, there is no rotation at this joint here, but because it's on the ball joint, you can kind of rotate it like so. But yeah, you can see there's just a straight elbow type of joint. There's no articulation here in the wrist, in the actual hand, which I think is kind of a shame. I wish they would have made that an actual movable joint instead of it just being fixed. So I think that would have added a little more posability to him, considering he doesn't have a lot of posability in his dinosaur mode, realistically speaking. But his claws here can kind of rotate around here individually like that, so you can get some little like kind of like finger gestures or whatever it is with his little claws or talons there. And if we kind of turn him here, he's got a nice big painted on Autobot symbol. All the little paint apps on here are painted on. There's no stickers of any kind, and if it's not painted on, it's some kind of a colored plastic. So that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about any stickers wearing off or anything like that. You can kind of see some of that in here. It's like clearly that's some painted, like feels like almost like a die cast, but it's probably just plastic there. Let's pan on down some more and look at his legs here. Let's kind of go out just a little bit. You can see in here, this is clearly going to be his robotic chest when he's turned into his robot mode, and that's got some more clear plastic in there with some like mechanical parts and stuff. There's a few little paint apps there on his legs, and there's basically the feet on him there in his dinosaur mode. I think the feet here are pretty sturdy, especially these little claws here. I think these are like either a hard plastic or possibly maybe a die cast, but they're painted nice, and they really help balance him well in his dinosaur mode here. There's a good wide base to them. Let's pan back up here, and let's kind of talk about him here on the rear, or look at the back of him here. And let's kind of start up from the head again. There's his neck again. I like the detail that they put in here. Kind of just zoom up on that a little bit. Looks here like these are his thrusters here, and I think that's a nice little touch. I know on the original Grimlock you kind of had the same sort of feature here, but basically that was because it was just his hinges for his little shell that forms around here in his torso. So they kind of did a little something different with that, and that they kind of looks like they molded them to look like little thrusters or something like that. But I like all the little piping and detail in there, so that looks good. And we'll just pan on down here some more. There you can see some of that colored plastic I was mentioning, and just kind of straighten that out. And this is clearly his tail in here, and there's the end of his tail. He's got the nice little like chrome or silver painted metallic looking paint there on it. See, that's pretty much the detail of the alt mode here of Grimlock. Articulation for his alt mode here. Basically you can rotate his head here, and what that's supposed to do if you do rotate his head, let's kind of pan on down here. If you rotate his head, it's supposed to make his tail kind of pivot or turn, but Let's see if I can get that to turn. But you really got to kind of rotate it quite a bit, and it doesn't really wiggle a whole lot. But if you do it the other way, if you rotate him by his tail, I'll just kind of do that there. You can see it really makes his head spin pretty easily. I'm not a big fan of this gimmick. I think they should have just done without it. And what they should have done in its place is just make his tail posable here and just maybe ratchet his head, because it is kind of floppy here in his dinosaur mode. It doesn't really want to stay in place because of the little mechanism in there. So yeah, I think they missed the mark with that gimmick. I don't really know why they put it in there. He does have a few more gimmicks here. The other one is if you grab him here and you press down on him like this, it's supposed to make his head go up and down like that. So let's kind of try and do that there. So yeah, you can see that there. Again, it's pretty weak gimmick in my opinion. I don't know why they put that in there. I guess it's supposed to be like him, you know, shaking his head yes or something, but you can just kind of do that yourself. You know, again, why they need to do all that, I don't know. And honestly, they should have just got rid of some of that, you know, the engineering in there, or the little moving parts, and that probably could have drove down the cost on this figure a little bit. Honestly, those two gimmicks, I think they should just take them out. His other gimmick that he has, and which kind of plays into the articulation here on this guy, is you can open his jaw here, and if you push right in here on his like jaw joint or whatever, there's like a little panel there, and that's supposed to make his jaw like spring shut. But again, it's pretty weak. It's not much of a spring action. I don't know if it's just my figure or what, but yeah, it's kind of lame again, in my opinion. You know, that I can live with, but you know, it's nothing to write home about. The final gimmick he has here in his alt mode is you can do the eye changing color gimmick. You change the color of his eyes. Basically, let's kind of zoom up in here. There's a little panel right here on the top of his head, and if you just flip that up like so, that reveals this little like color wheel in there, and it's kind of spring loaded, so you just kind of pull it out and then rotate it around so you get the eye color you want. You got to kind of rotate them into a certain position there so that it matches the little contour of the upper panel there. Then just close it back down, and see there, you change his eyes from blue to red. So that's a pretty nice gimmick. I think that one actually works pretty well because it doesn't really affect anything in the figure. It doesn't impede any of the movement of the head, and it's kind of a cool little gimmick, I think. As far as the rest of the articulation goes, the only thing that really moves here is his legs, which basically are his robot arms. These don't really transform at all, and we'll kind of look at that when we get into the actual transformation of this guy. But as far as the range of movement for his legs here, they're kind of like on a little ball joint here, so you can kind of just pivot that around and rotate it 360 like so. Let's kind of get that up there. And then you can bend them here like that, and these kind of, I think this whole assembly bends forward or not. It doesn't. And it can rotate here like so, and the little claws can kind of bend down like that, although you're probably really not going to need to do that much. As far as how he stands here, he does stand fairly well, but he is a little top heavy, or if you try to lean him forward like so, he kind of wants to maybe lean back when you get him past a certain point. So I usually just kind of keep him here with his tail kind of supporting his weight there on the floor, and just, you know, have his legs there to balance him. But you can lean him forward to, you know, make him look like he's walking or running or whatever it is. So yeah, you can get some decent posability out of him. Again, nothing super great, mostly due to the fact that he is a, you know, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, so all he's really got is the two legs, kind of like bird legs almost. I think that's pretty much it for all his gimmicks and his articulation there in his dinosaur mode. The only other thing here that we'll look at is his accessories, and those are, he came here with this energy sword, which looks pretty nice, I think. And he came here with this blaster, and he's got his Dinobot crown of leadership there. So yeah, that's pretty much a look there at his alt mode and his accessories. And next up we'll get into the actual transformation and talk about his robot mode and some of the gimmicks in his robot mode.